Well, it's 5:30 in the morning, not 6 in the morning like I usually go out and walk. And the weasel refused to get out of bed. So it's solo, off to do a pug 80. And then back home, prepare for the podcast, hopefully with the Jester. He's heading off to Georgia, I believe. So talk to y'all later. Less than a mile away from my house is a Pep Boys, which I've been taking my car to for over 30 years. A great culture at this Pep Boys. They're just super friendly. Never feel like I'm getting ripped off, and they always take care of us. And the nice thing is I can just walk home from here and walk and pick it up. And I've been walking down 24th Street right now. Main Street, as you can see, some construction. They've widened it. They took a house out on my corner, so I used to be fourth house from the block. Now I'm the third. But the nice part is they made this nice sidewalk and put in these, handicap rollouts, so you don't have to hop up and down the sidewalk. So often Blanc and I start off, and this is our F loop, call it the F Weasel loop. Of course, the Weasel is snoozing away right now, so hence my solo-ness. About a mile into the F Weasel loop is the back door of World Records. They moved here a number of years ago, and World Records is of interest for me because I started working there back in 1980. Pat, the owner, opened the store in the late 70s, and I was in college, working at the record store in college, and radio station, hence the Andy noise. And I wanted a job, and back then I didn't realize that retail was not the place to be. I should have been into doing waiter and waitressing like my friends, and often my girlfriends were waiters and waitresses, and they definitely made some bank. This Carl's Jr., terrible service. So I ended up working there, and then in 1986 opened up my own record store, which lasted almost 20 years. So World Records was a fun place to work, learned the ropes, and then did it on my own. And so this is F Street, and I'll be heading over here soon and heading off over to the right to the Garza Circle. Interesting. Change of ownership. Westchester Lanes bowling alley on my route. Hence, of course, the bowling alley is closed, but this place has some of the best fish and chips around, bar none. Always been a fan of fish and chips. Remember when I was a kid, used to go to H. Salt Fish and Chips. This bowling logo, my good friend Tracy B, her last name, and I made a video on YouTube, and it's like one of my top 10 videos, and all it is BOWLING with some music to it, and people seem to love it. So if you're ever in Bakersfield, check out the Westchester Lanes. Bit concerning that it's for sale. People that own it have owned it for quite some time, so wonder what's going on. Besides fish and chips, the biscuits they make, I guess, are amazing. So check out Westchester Lanes if you're in Bakersfield. Up ahead over there is the Elks Lodge, and I'll be cruising through there, and then you have the Garza Circle. And then we have Deja Vu Showgirls, a strip club in Bakersfield. Opened up when I had my record store. The DJs came in and bought a lot of stuff, and so did the girls. It was always entertaining when the girls were in because they were wearing a whole lot, and the record store guys are pretty geeky, so they definitely freaked out seeing the young ladies. Never went in there because I was way too well known, plus like George Costanza, never want to pay for parking or sex. And then here up ahead is the Tower Motel. Definitely been around forever. Pretty unusual place, to say the least. You know you're down on your luck if you're staying in a Tower Motel on Chester Avenue in Bakersfield. Just past the Deja Vu strip joint is the Ice House. And this Ice House is right by the train tracks. And it was where Bakersfield got its ice. Since those days, of course, been many restaurants here at La Costa. There was a Sizzler here for decades. But I heard the PG&E alone was $10,000 a month. I mistakenly, when I lost my lease, moved over here. I'd been to my other store on 19th Street for 9 years, and I moved over here to Ice House. Total disaster. This is Chester and 34th. My oldest son was born on 34th Street, hence miracles on 34th Street. And then also here we have a Valley Oaks charter school. And here is the Ice House statue, I guess. Boyd's General Store. I don't know how long it's been around. I mean, since I've been in Bakersfield in the 70s, and just keeps going strong. That is the Watchtower. We're entering here as Pioneer Village. This used to be on Chester in the middle of the downtown area, and I think in '52 there was an earthquake, and they ended up moving it here to Pioneer Village. My good friend Lori, who I've known since the 80s, we used to go to concerts and stuff together. She used to be the person in charge of Pioneer Village. Any kids that's from Bakersfield knows Pioneer Village because all the elementary schools come visit. There's just some amazing, they went and got all the old houses from the 1870s, 1880s, and refurbished them. And you can walk around and see some history. And every year, Halloween, they have a big Halloween trick-or-treat thing here. I'm sorry, Harvest Festival, for those who might be triggered by Halloween. Lori Brock Children's Discovery Center there. And then, of course, this is just Chester Avenue. To my F. Weasel donut loop, which is about a 4-mile loop, is the Bakersfield batting cage, which has been around forever. I mean, I've been to Bakersfield since the 70s. It was here. And now it's the home of the Sam Lynn Ballpark, the Train Robbers. Not a very good name. The stadium is ancient. Lots of minor league stadiums in America have definitely upped their game. Super modern. When I first moved here, the Bakersfield Dodgers played here, so they're affiliated with the Dodgers. And from time to time, we get big league stars rehabbing or playing here, and people coming through. And when I first moved to Bakersfield, I lived in an apartment complex, and a lot of the Dodgers stayed at that apartment, so it's kind of cool. Here we also have military base. There is Foster's Donuts, hence the donut shop. They got ice cold drinks in there, and I go in there from time to time, not as much as I used to. The Bakersfield Marathon, this is mile 12, and the lady that works there, I told her about the race, and then, bless her heart, she saw me coming, and she ran in. She's like, do you want a drink? And she ran in, got me Diet Dr. Pepper, and ran back out and handed it to me. So that was very sweet of her. And this is the base here, United States Army. They're a mechanized unit, transportation unit, and often see them training on the bike path, which I will be getting to shortly. West. So you can't start games until later in the evening because the sun is in batter's eyes. Whoever thought of that? But you can see this little covered area over here. It's a beautiful park, or should be, called Headlands of the Kern. And the Kern River over there, which may or may not be flowing. The water comes all the way from Mount Whitney down those mountains over there and then comes through here. Well, years ago they came up with the great idea of building this really nice park. And it was nice. Where this path was, there was a wooden pathway, been torn out, made into firewood. And this whole section is pretty much urban outdoorsman section. And they basically have destroyed it. Those things over there used to have all these informational kiosks. Somehow the telescopes haven't been stolen, but they basically trashed and destroyed the place. And so Sam Lynn over there, some youth baseball facilities over there. And then over there on the other side of the river is the river, the North of the River baseball facility where I actually played baseball and was a scorekeeper, and where the Bakersfield Skateboard Club was in the late 70s, early 80s. This is the area I'm talking about. This is Dog Alley. There's always wild dogs roaming around here, which are dangerous for these poor cyclists. But as you can tell, it's That's what I'm talking about. They built this headlands of the Kern River and basically been destroyed. You can see there used to be these informational kiosks telling you all about the, I guess it's called the uplands of the Kern River Parkway. There's actually a sign there, walking underneath the train tracks. As you probably noticed, here on my loop, I'm on the bike path, lots of bikes. Haven't run into any runners. Usually don't see too many runners or walkers. I right now am in the middle of my Pug 80. Often if you follow me on Strava, you might see things like Pug 80, Chug 90, Yo 100. And I highly recommend, I tell my athletes, to give their different training regimes names. And so Pug 80 is 80 minutes. First 40 is usually with Blanca, where I walk the first 40 and then I run walk the last 40. But I do a run walk where I walk 5 minutes, run 5 minutes. That's usually the pattern I use when I'm racing ultras, and it seems to work. Obviously shorter races I don't walk as much, but I feel that's what works for me. Jeff Galloway only recommends a 30-second walk, but you know, when you're doing really long races, you kind of want to get into a groove. And so my 5-minute walk just ended, and now I'm getting in a sort of run. Not much of a run, but not a walk. And then up ahead here is the Golden State Highway. So it's being also worked on. Tons and tons of construction here in Bakersfield, and tons of little brush fires. As I said, the roaming dogs, 3 of them right here. Thankfully they kind of ignore me most days. Been doing this for 40 years, since 79. Haven't been bit by a dog or hit by a car, bike, whatnot. So, knock on wood, that street continues. Down there is the riverbed, aka Urban Outdoorsman campsites. And sometimes there's water running in it, but not right now. So, look at the trees, grown up quite a bit. And these dogs are escorting me back to my house. Yeah, you want to have some of this? Well, finishing up the 80 minute workout this morning. This was the F Weasel Donut Loop, extending out here to Beach Park. I just saw Vondre Armour, now Bakersfield College coach, was coaching Centennial. Driller, Bakersfield High driller legend, won a state title back in the 90s, 148 800 runner. Flying by, in fact, he just posted yesterday a 4:54 mile solo to Sand Hill. Many people from Bakersfield come and train on it. Probably 50 yards long, but you got to do what you got to do. Lots of team sport athletes are often on the path working out. They just built this little path that'll add to my loop, which will be quite nice. Beach Park here, softball diamond, Fit for Life boot camp is here Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They must be finished up already. And then over there, there's horseshoe pits and the Kern River, which doesn't have any water in it. When I first moved here to Bakersfield, we laughed so hard because it said, you know, no diving from bridge. So that is the end of this video. And as always, stay healthy, be boring, not epic. So I made it back from my workout here at World Headquarters of Anti-Noise Experience. My backyard, got Molly, the pug, Milo, right back there, the pup, and Mushu. Now he's looking at me. They're staring at me because I got some cold pizza from last night that I was planning on eating, and of course they want some. So I finished up the workout. I ran into my friend Courtney after I saw Vondre run by. You might notice there was part of the video, it's pretty chaotic. I forgot to record after that. But I was talking about those dogs. It ended up being 2 pit bulls and a German Shepherd. They came and investigated me, and they didn't want to back off. I always tell people when I run into dogs to, be friendly to them, but look at them, talk assertively and calmly. I usually always call dogs puppy, because I figure sometime in their sad lives, someone called them puppy. Well, they weren't having any of it. They kept getting closer to me. I had to get a little bit more upset with them. And then I did the classic, before they get too close, bend over and pick up a rock or something, throw at them, and or pretend at least. Picked up an old can. And as soon as you raise your arm, generally almost every dog will run off. 2 of them ran off. The big leader pit bull decided not to run off. So I had to throw it at him. I didn't hit him, and that made him run away. And then they were gone for good, running back in probably to hang out with the urban outdoorsman who is their owner. But kind of sketchy times, so I kept my streak alive, but I almost jinxed myself. So, yeah, you got to watch out with these dogs. They're definitely, got to keep an eye on them. So, as always, stay healthy, be boring, not epic.